I want you to stop what you're doing for the next few minutes because what I'm about to share could genuinely change how the rest of your life feels. I've spent more than 2 decades sitting across from people in their 60s, 70s, and 80s, and I've watched the same quiet pattern play out again and again. Good people doing the things they were always told were healthy and slowly losing their strength, their sharpness, their energy, and their independence to habits that nobody ever warned them about. Not because they were careless, because no one ever told them these everyday things were working against them. Today, we change that. And here's the part I need you to really hear before we start. It is not too late. I have watched people well into their 80s reverse things their previous doctors had called permanent. The research on this is genuinely encouraging. Older adults who let go of just a few decline-driving daily habits tend to hold on to their physical function and their memory far better than their peers, and many of them made those changes after 70. So wherever you are right now, you are not too late. You're right on time. Before we get into the list, let me ask you something, because I read the comments on this channel and they shape what I make next. Drop your age below and tell me the one health habit you're most proud of in your senior years. Your answers genuinely inspire each other, and they inspire me. Take a moment, leave it, and let's build this together. Now, we're counting down from 7 to 1, from important to absolutely life-changing. And stay with me to the end, because number 1 is something almost every senior does within 30 minutes of waking up, and most doctors have never once told them to stop. Number 7, eating 3 large meals a day. I know, this one sounds harmless. Breakfast, lunch, dinner. It's what your mother taught you and what every old nutrition pamphlet still recommends. But here's what those pamphlets don't account for. After about 65, your digestive system slows down meaningfully. Your stomach makes less acid. You produce fewer digestive enzymes, and your gut gets less efficient at pulling nutrients out of a large volume of food at once. So when you sit down to one big plate, your body simply isn't processing it the way it did at 40. Think of your digestion after 70 like a smaller engine. It doesn't need less fuel overall. It needs that fuel delivered in smaller, more frequent batches so it can actually burn it. Shifting from a couple of big meals to 4 or 5 smaller, protein-rich ones spread through the day tends to leave older adults with steadier energy, less bloating, and better use of the protein they eat. And protein is the key word here because of something called anabolic resistance. After 70, your muscles become less responsive to protein, so you actually need more of it per meal than you did in your 30s to get the same muscle-building signal. Aim for a meal every 3 to 4 hours, each with a solid serving of protein. Think in the range of 25 to 30 grams, paired with a little healthy fat like olive oil or avocado, which helps you absorb the fat-soluble vitamins your bones and immune system depend on. I had a patient, I'll change her details and call her Margaret, who came in exhausted and bloated, eating a tiny breakfast and one enormous dinner, which is honestly one of the hardest patterns on an aging body. We spread her food into 5 small meals, and within a couple of months, her energy had transformed. She said she felt like she'd gotten 10 years back. That's number 7. Number 6, taking long, hot showers every single day. I can already feel some of you resisting this one. Stay with me, because the science is genuinely interesting once you understand what changes in your skin and your circulation after 65. As we age, the skin makes far less of its natural protective oil. The barrier gets thinner and more fragile, and it holds onto moisture much less well. Prolonged hot water strips away what's left of that protective lipid layer and actually dries your skin from the inside out, which is why so many older adults battle chronic, dry, itchy, inflamed skin and don't realize the daily hot shower is feeding it. But here's the part that matters most for seniors specifically. Hot water rapidly widens your blood vessels, which can cause a sudden drop in blood pressure. And after 70, your cardiovascular system is slower to compensate for that kind of quick change. That sudden dip is one of the most underappreciated causes of dizziness and falls in the bathroom, which statistically is the most dangerous room in the house for older adults. The fix is not to stop showering, it's small adjustments. Keep the water warm rather than hot. Keep showers to under about 8 minutes. And the moment you step out, while your skin is still slightly damp, lock in moisture with a ceramide-rich cream. And if you want a bonus for circulation, finish with 20 to 30 seconds of cooler water. That gentle contrast can help your blood vessels tone up. Small changes, real protection. That's number 6. Number 5, avoiding strength training because your joints hurt. This is one of the most damaging myths I run into, and it costs people years of independence. The logic feels right. Knees ache, so rest and avoid exercise. But the body works the opposite way. Your muscles and joints are partners. When the muscles around a joint weaken, they put more stress on that joint, not less. And avoiding resistance training after 65 speeds up sarcopenia, the age-related loss of muscle that, left unchecked, is exactly what steals your ability to stand from a chair, climb stairs, and catch yourself when you stumble. Here's the hopeful part, and it's one of my favorite findings in all of medicine. A landmark study out of Tufts put frail nursing home residents, people in their 90s, through a progressive strength training program for just a couple of months, and their strength didn't improve by a little. It improved dramatically, on the order of well over 100%, along with better balance and faster walking. The researchers' conclusion was profound. The real enemy wasn't age, it was frailty, and frailty is reversible. I worked with a man I'll call Harold, 81, who'd given up walking more than a block because his knees hurt. We started him on a chair-based band program, 20 minutes, twice a week. 4 months later, he was walking a mile every morning, and he told me he hadn't felt that free in 15 years. Start seated, with light bands or even just your body weight, focusing on the big muscle groups, thighs, glutes, back. And here's the synergy tip. Eat a protein-rich meal within about half an hour of your session, because that's when aging muscles are most ready to use those amino acids. For a body with anabolic resistance, that timing isn't a nice to have, it's essential. That's number 5. Number 4, leaning entirely on stronger and stronger reading glasses without ever training your vision. Here's something most people are never told. Vision, a bit like muscle, responds to use. The lens of your eye and the tiny muscles that focus it stiffen with age, a condition called presbyopia. And most people just accept ever thicker glasses and assume the slide is unstoppable. But those focusing muscles are still muscles. Spending a little time each day on simple, near-far focusing exercises, shifting your focus between something close and something far repeatedly, along with eating plenty of the eye protective nutrients lutein and zeaxanthin found in leafy greens, won't replace your glasses, but it can help slow the decline and reduce how dependent you become. There's a second piece too. After 70, your contrast sensitivity, your ability to tell objects apart from their background in dim light, drops noticeably. And that's a major reason falls happen in poorly lit rooms. So train your focus, get enough zinc and vitamin A, and brighten up your home lighting. These are simple, evidence-aligned steps most seniors are simply never handed. That's number 4. This is a good moment to pause and say, if this channel has ever given you something your own doctor never mentioned, take 1 second right now to hit subscribe and like this video. It genuinely helps us reach more seniors who need this, and it costs you nothing. Okay, back to the list, and the top 3 are the big ones. Number 3, sleeping more than 9 hours a night or leaning regularly on sleep aids. This one surprises people because we're always told sleep is healing, and it is, but the relationship between sleep and aging is more nuanced than more is better. Across many studies of older adults, consistently sleeping more than about 9 hours is associated with faster cognitive decline compared with the 7 to 8 hour range. And here's the key, it's usually not that long sleep is harmful in itself, it's that chronically long time in bed is often a sign of poor quality, fragmented sleep that isn't doing its real job. Because your brain has an actual cleaning system, the glymphatic system, a kind of overnight sanitation crew that washes through your brain, clearing out metabolic debris, including the very proteins linked to Alzheimer's. But that system mostly runs during deep sleep, concentrated in the first several hours of the night. Lying in bed for 10 hours of light, broken sleep can produce very little of that cleaning. As for sleep aids, and I want to be direct here, many common over-the-counter ones are antihistamines like diphenhydramine, which are strongly anticholinergic. Research has repeatedly linked regular use of anticholinergic sleep aids to higher dementia risk in older adults because they cross into the brain and block acetylcholine, the messenger your memory depends on. I had a patient I'll call Dorothy, 78, sleeping 10 hours and still waking exhausted, on a nightly sleep aid for 3 years, and her cognitive scores have been quietly slipping. We carefully weaned her off it with her doctor, set a consistent 7 to 8 hour window, added some magnesium glycinate at night, and cleaned up her sleep habits. Within a few months, she said the fog she'd lived in for years had finally started to lift. If sleep is a struggle, anchor it. Same bed and wake time every day. A cool room around 65 degrees. No screens for an hour before bed, and consider magnesium glycinate before sleep. And never start or stop a sleep medication without your doctor. That's number 3. Number 2, drinking less water simply because you don't feel thirsty. This might be the most overlooked health risk among seniors anywhere, and it's dangerous precisely because it's invisible. You don't feel it happening. Here's the biology. As we age, the part of the brain that governs thirst becomes less sensitive. So by around 70, most adults have a blunted thirst signal. You can be genuinely dehydrated and feel completely fine because your body has stopped reliably sounding the alarm. A large share of community-dwelling older adults are mildly, chronically dehydrated without any idea. And mild dehydration in an older body is not harmless. It raises the risk of urinary tract infections, which in seniors are a surprisingly common trigger for sudden confusion and hospitalization, along with constipation, kidney stones, and something many people never consider. Because a lot of common medications are water-based in how they distribute, dehydration can concentrate them in your blood to higher than intended levels. Even being a little underhydrated measurably dulls short-term memory, concentration, and reaction time. Your skin, your joints, the cushioning discs in your spine, your eyes, all of them need water to work. So don't wait for thirst, because thirst is no longer a reliable messenger. Aim for at least 6 to 8 cups of water a day. Spread steadily across the day rather than gulped all at once. A simple trick: keep a large bottle visible and commit to finishing it twice by evening. Add a pinch of mineral salt or a sugar-free electrolyte to 1 glass a day and lean on water-rich foods like cucumber, watermelon, and leafy greens. That's number 2. And now, the one I promised, number 1. The single thing almost every senior does within 30 minutes of waking that quietly works against their body, their brain, and their independence. They sit down. Coffee in the recliner, breakfast at the table, the morning news on the couch, right after waking. I know you didn't see that coming, so let me show you why it matters so much. In the first 30 to 45 minutes after you wake, your body produces a natural surge of cortisol, your built-in biological alarm clock, that can rise well above its baseline. This isn't the bad kind of stress. In that window, cortisol is actually anti-inflammatory. It's designed to melt away the overnight stiffness in your joints, clear the residual inflammation in your tissues, and prime your muscles for the day. When you sit still through that window, that cortisol has nowhere useful to go, it circulates without doing its job, and chronically misdirected morning cortisol is linked to more belly fat, weaker bones, and a dampened immune system. On top of that, the first half hour or so after waking is when your muscles are unusually responsive to movement. Even gentle movement signals them to repair and grow for hours afterward. And research on older adults consistently finds that being sedentary in that first hour after waking is associated with worse metabolic and cognitive outcomes over time, somewhat independent of how much you exercise later in the day. So the fix is almost laughably simple. Move gently before you sit. A 10-minute slow walk, light stretching, a few standing exercises. That's it. I'll tell you about a man I'll call Robert, 77, whose whole morning was wake, coffee, recliner, news for an hour, then breakfast. No energy, achy for the first 2 hours, foggy until afternoon, with inflammatory markers and blood sugar creeping the wrong way. We changed exactly one thing. For 21 days, a 10-minute walk outside within 15 minutes of waking, before the coffee, before the chair. 3 weeks later, he called and said, "I feel like someone turned a light back on inside me." His morning stiffness eased, his energy lifted, his fasting blood sugar dropped. One change, 10 minutes. And here's the synergy that makes it even more powerful. Do that movement in natural light. Step outside or stand at a bright window, and you trigger a serotonin release perfectly timed with that cortisol surge. That combination sets your internal clock for the whole day, improves your melatonin and your sleep that night, steadies your mood, and has been linked to less seasonal low mood in older adults. Morning movement plus morning light may be one of the most powerful, completely free, side effect free tools in all of longevity medicine, and almost nobody is talking about it. That's number one. Let me bring this home because this isn't really about statistics, it's about your life. It's about whether the next decade is something you watch happen from a chair or something you're fully present and capable for. In every case where I've watched someone turn things around, strength returning, clarity coming back, fear lifting, the turning point was never a medication or a surgery. It was the right information applied consistently. You have that information now. 7 changes, all free, none requiring a prescription, all able to start today. Your body isn't betraying you. It's responding to the inputs it's given. Change the inputs and you'll be amazed what this body of yours can still do. If this reached you at the right moment, share it with someone you love who needs to hear it. And tell me in the comments, which of these 7 are you going to work on first? And what's one change you've already made in your senior years that made a real difference? I read every single one, and your story might be exactly what the next person needs. Take care of yourself. I'll see you in the next one.